Web. Welcome back to the Hangin' with Web Show. I'm GW Pomacher. Thanks for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. We need you to subscribe. Come back and see some of these fantastic artists and creators. We are here at the Downtown Melbourne Festival of the Arts in downtown Melbourne, Florida, and we are hanging with Doug Snider. Thank you very much for hanging with us, Doug.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks
for bringing over this awesome piece of art. This is amazing.
Great to be here. This is
fantastic. And you do marine wildlife and surfboard art.
Yes.
And this is in wood.
All rescued wood. I buy all of this wood from the local tree trimmers and save all this from going to the dump. So all the wood, marine, wildlife sculptures and surfboards that I create would be in the dump and turned into mulch if it weren't for me buying the timber from the local tree trimmers, taking it to a sawmill, getting it slabbed out, and then curing it in my barn for about 2 years before we make anything out of it, so that the moisture content is low enough to where it won't crack or check.
Wow. Okay, so you get a piece of rescued wood.
Yeah, timber. I buy the timber.
Okay, and then it's got to sit. It's got to cure. It's got to.
That's right.
Age for
yes.
about 2 years.
Yes. To get the moisture content down, so it does everything it's going to do, and it won't crack or anything like that after we work it. So it's a long process that most people don't understand.
Well, I was going to say, you know, most people we see that wood sculptures are more and more common now. We see the sculpture. We have no idea what went into making it.
Right, exactly.
The artistry involved here this is only the final stages.
Yes.
Really.
Yes.
The curing the wood and making sure it's proper wood. So let's walk through that. You get the wood.
Yep.
It's recycled.
Right.
You age it for a couple of years,
Yep.
dry it out a little bit.
Yep.
And then start to carve.
Yes. I take the slabs that have been curing in the barn, natural air drying. I take a slab and then I draw out on the wood what I'm going to cut out of it, and then I try and put the lifelike turns in it to make it look like it's actually alive with the turning of the tail and the dorsal fins.
Okay.
Cut it down, work it down with grinders, and this has a lot of detail to it, so I had to use hand knives in the dorsal fin. The dorsal fin is probably less than 1/8 of an inch thick, so it's very tedious to carve on both sides of the dorsal fin without going through the other side and ruining.
So you're hand carving all of these fine details.
Yes, that's right.
And then there's paint.
Yep. Okay. I put 2 or 3 coats of an epoxy resin on the fish to seal the wood and make it stronger. And then we go into the painting process.
So there's epoxy first.
Yes.
Then
on
paint.
the wood, then paint.
And then it looks like
and then we clear. Then we put a automotive clear coat over the paint.
Wow. So this is found wood.
Yep. Rescued.
Rescued wood, and then you get this.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Okay, so you're sitting around the house one day and you thought, gee, I think I'll rescue some wood and make fish. How does this happen? Well,
it happens because actually I was a space shuttle engineer for 31 years, helped launch every space shuttle here in Brevard County, Florida, at Kennedy Space Center. And in 2005, they basically came to all the space shuttle workers and told us, hey, by 2010, you're going to not have a job because they're going to kill the space shuttle program. So that was 2005, and right about that time, 3 hurricanes came through and knocked down all the timber all here in Brevard County. So there was timber piled up in everybody's yards for months while they were hauling it all to the dump, and God tapped me on the shoulder and said, gather the wood. I had never carved a piece of wood. Gather the wood. And I had never carved a piece of wood in my life.
Really?
I started every day I'd come home from the Space Center, I would load up a whole truck full of wood and take it to my house, and I stacked up timber all around my house. People started calling me Noah. They thought I was insane because people would ask me, what are you going to do with this? Yeah, what are you going to do with this? And I told them, I don't really know, but I'm going to find something because I know what's in there. I know it's going to waste. I don't want to see a lot of this wood wasted. I can make something out of it, and I can probably make some money. So then I started doing research on the web on how to take it to a sawmill, how to cure the wood, and how to start carving. And originally my plan was just to sell the cured wood to furniture makers and tree trimmers and furniture makers and carvers, because I had never done any carving. So so then somebody says, well, why don't you try carving? You know, everybody's chainsaw carving now. So I started, actually I taught myself with a hammer and a chisel all by hand to do tiki totem poles first.
Wow.
That was 10 years ago. I never carved a piece of wood till about actually 11 years ago. I started carving wood. So I did tikis, but there are so many tiki carvers around here, and the palm trees are cheap and very abundant. So I decided that although I was very good at carving tikis, that there had to be a better market in wood somewhere doing something else. And my girlfriend at the time said, well, you fished and you surfed all your life. Why don't you carve fish and surfboards? And I started carving fish, and I have not been able to keep up ever since.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, never before.
Never before.
Pick up a hammer and chisel and just teach yourself.
Yeah, I'm all self-taught. I started by hand, and now I use all power tools now. But I'm doing it for a living now, so yeah, I have to make it faster, better, cheaper in order to make a living and do it in a timely manner.
That's right,
where
ladies and gentlemen on the World Wide Web. Believe it or not, the arts is a profession.
It is a profession.
We do this for a living.
We do this for a living.
So those numbers, you got to subscribe, you got to click over to his artwork and check some more. We're going to put some links down below so you can find Doug on the web. So are you working on anything right now? What are you working on?
I have anywhere between 40 and 50 pieces in work at all times in different stages of completion.
Wow.
My forte is custom fish wood taxidermy, where if a fisherman catches a fish, instead of having it mounted out of fiberglass, I can recreate it out of wood exactly like the fish they catch.
That takes an amazing eye.
It does.
That takes an amazing, because you have to sort of visually capture what they've already caught.
I was given a gift that I never knew I had.
Truly is. Again, our motto here at the show is create, aspire, and inspire others.
And I try and do that. I tell people that walk into my booth, I never carved a piece of wood until I was 50 years old. So you're never too old to try something new. If there's a will, there's a way. You have a lot more ability and talent than you will ever imagine. You just have to try it and work at it, and you will progress.
Yeah, we started the show. I was 40 years old. And I said, I want to do this. I was a journalist. I wanted to do this show on the web to feature these artists and great creative people that we see all the time. And it's an amazing journey that you start when you do that. And so, so we like to let your customers and those people who appreciate your art get to know you a little bit as a guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've gone out to the World Wide Web, and we've gathered unto us the questions that social media seems to think are important and or just funny. So to get inside your head a little bit, you make amazing visual art, but the things that you like tell us a lot about you. So what's the last thing you took a photograph of?
Well, that's funny. Actually, the last thing I took a photograph of was my booth, so I could post it on social media this morning.
So
I do have about 8,000 fans on my Facebook page, Snidely Wood Studio, spelled S-N-I-D-E-L-Y, Wood Studio. And so anytime I do a show, I always try and advertise the show and show them my booth setup and you know, let them know where I'm going to be at my next event.
That is fantastic. So if we stranded you on a desert island and you could only take 3 things with you, what would they be? His phone, so he can take pictures of his island.
Yeah, well, I'd probably want to take a hammer and a chisel.
There you go. There's a lot of trees on that island.
A hammer and a chisel and a beautiful woman.
When Doug gets to the island, there'll be a lot of trees. When Doug comes home from the island, there won't be as many anymore.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be next? Where are you headed from here?
The next show I'm doing is another Melbourne art show in Wickham Park, April 25th and 26th.
That's coming up next month. We're hoping to be out there too, talking to some of our artists. She's showing me the card back there. Says I got to wrap things up. And as I do, I want to say a special thank you to Something Unique Magazine, the Florida Book News, Wordfire Press, Space Coast Comics, and Famous Faces and Funnies. These are folks who help to share our videos and our creators and our artists all over the World Wide Web. We love them for it. Remember, folks, I'm GW Pomature, and we've been hanging with Doug Snider from Snidely Wood Studios. He's a marine wildlife and surfboard artist, amazing reclaimed art, reclaimed wood artist. So check him out on the web. We're going to put those links down on the description along with the social media links. Remember, subscribe, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next. Thanks, Doug. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.